Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1785. The end. Today's date is February 6, 2019, and the title of the episode is Message Sent to the Deep State and Annans During the State of the Union. Patriots in Control. Now, we know the deep state, they're making really big changes. CNN, they just announced last month that YouTube will be censoring any videos on its platform having to do with 9/11 or conspiracy theories. Anyone who is watching this content will most likely be recorded. Using a VPN is a great idea. Virtual Shield VPN is the easiest and fastest to use VPN. With the click of a button, change your IP address to a different location. This month, Virtual Shield is offering 35% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons. Their no-log policy protects its users from any data breaches. It's time to fight back and protect yourself. Get 35% off this month by clicking the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, as we can see, Trump gave the State of the Union. And within the State of the Union, he sent some messages to the deep state and to Annans. And there were certain other individuals that were actually sending messages to Annans. And we're going to take a look at this and we're going to go through the different messages. But first, let's talk about the poll and how people actually are now agreeing with Trump. CBS took a news poll and they said, how did you view the speech? And this is from YouGov. 76 approve of the speech and 24% disapprove of the speech. Now, I remember going back when Trump was running for president, and even after he became president, you would never really see a poll like this because they would always skew it. Now we see something very different. Because how do you hide these things when the alternative media and many other people are calling them out on it? Everyone's pointing to the news and holding a magnifying glass at the mainstream media, looking at everything they do, and whenever they make something up, they're called out on it. I mean, look at Roger Stone with this ridiculous FBI raid where CNN was the only camera crew, and they said this was because of investigative reporting. No, they were tipped off. Look at the time when they were showing where CNN was the only camera crew, and they said this was because of investigative reporting. No, they were tipped off. Look at the time when they were showing the governor of Virginia, Northam, and they put an R next to his name, making it look like he was Republican. People called him out on it and said, no, you made a mistake here. Correct it. Was it really a mistake? Or were they trying to push a certain agenda? We see that during the State of the Union, there were many different messages out there. Actually, an Annan took the snapshot of Gina Haspel, the CIA director, and she's wearing this outfit, and when you look at it, it looks like hats, and when you zoom in on it, they are white hats. So does this mean that she's a white hat? A white hat? A signal to all the Annans out there? Maybe. Now, something else very interesting happened during the State of the Union. Kristen Sinema stood up and applauded for Trump. Another individual turned to her and said, watch your ass. Was this a threat? Were they instructed not to clap for Trump? And it looks like this might have been a threat. Now, we've seen this in the past where Feinstein went ahead and took another senator to the side and looked like she, read her the riot act. This is not something that we haven't seen before. But during the speech, Trump spoke to the deep state and Annans a couple of times. And this is the first part where Trump was specifically talking to the deep state. He said, if I wasn't elected, I believe we would be in a war with North Korea right now. He also said the following: we will never be a socialist country. Take a listen to both of these.
As part of a bold new diplomacy, we continue our historic push for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Our hostages have come home. Nuclear testing has stopped, and there has not been a missile launch in more than 15 months. If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea. Here in the United States, we are alarmed by independence founded on liberty and independence and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country. One of the most...
We knew what your plan was. We stopped your plan, and we are no longer going to war. We've stopped what you were trying to do. The next thing he said is, we will never be a socialist country. And he said America was founded on liberty and independence and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. And America will never be a socialist country. He's letting the deep state and all the other factions, the central bank, letting them know we took the country back. And this, their plan, will never happen. He's letting the Annans know this, and he's letting the deep state know this. He came right to the point and let them know this. Most of America, they're just like, oh, they're just hearing this, you know. They don't realize this was the plan of the deep state. He's calling them out on it, letting them know you have failed. Who's in control? The patriots are in control. Now, we know that Trump continually makes fun of Senator Warren because she says that she's Native American, and she took a test and it shows that she really wasn't Native American. But the Washington Post, they dug up some public records and they found Warren's registration card for the state bar. And on the registration card, it shows that Elizabeth Warren put down for race American Indian. So Warren filled out the card by hand in neat blue ink and signed it, dated April 1986. It is the first document to serve as showing Warren making the claim in her own handwriting. Her office right now did not dispute its authenticity. So the question is, did Senator Warren use this to her advantage by claiming that she was American Indian? Now, the Cherokee Nation, they are really angry and pissed off at this. And we can see that this might turn into a problem for her as she runs for the 2020 election. Most likely, yes. We see right now that Adam Schiff is going to delay or postpone Michael Cohen's testimony. He said, in the interest of the investigation, Michael Cohen's testimony has been postponed until February 28th. Now remember, the House Intelligence Committee, they were going to have this meeting behind closed doors, and they decided to hold off on this. It's very interesting how they continually postpone Cohen's testimony. Remember, this has really nothing to do with Trump. This has to do with his father-in-law in Ukraine. This has to do with his dealings with Clinton. And they're trying to turn this around, but guess what? it's not going to work. It looks like Adam Schiff is continually postponing this because I think he's afraid what Cohen might say. Now, Judicial Watch released two sets of heavily redacted State Department documents, 38 pages and 48 pages, showing classified information was researched and disseminated to multiple U.S. senators by the Obama administration immediately prior to Trump's inauguration. The documents reveal that among those receiving the classified documents were Senator Mark Warner, Senator Ben Cardin, Senator Robert Corker. Judicial Watch obtained the documents through a June 2018 Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed against the State Department after it failed to respond to a February 2018 request seeking records of the Obama State Department's last-minute efforts to share classified information about Russia election interference issues with Democratic Senator Ben Cardin. The documents reveal that Obama's State Department urgently gathered classified Russia investigation information and disseminating it to members of Congress within hours of Trump taking office. In a Thursday, January 5th, 2017 email chain, then State Department Congressional Advisor Harara Abbasi indicates that then Assistant Secretary of State of European and Eurasian Affairs, Victoria Nuland's bureau, was attempting to get Russian investigation-related documents to the office of Senator Mark Warner as quickly as possible. Abbasi confirms that Nuland was fully aware of the information that the State Department was providing to members of Congress alleging Russia interference information. Judicial Watch has confirmed interference information. Judicial Watch has confirmed through previously obtained State Department documents that Obama's State Department did, in fact, provide classified documents to Senator Cardin. Looks like Judicial Watch is finding out a lot of information. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump starts tweeting about this. We see that the White House mandated election security report has been completed, and we know that the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security, they wrapped up the report on whether midterm election hacking has occurred. We know that it has not occurred, and we're waiting to see what this full report will say and how they will use it to show that there was voter fraud around the country. That's the next move. Why? Because Q has told us they're going to push voter ID. Now, Robert Mueller, it seems like he's had run-ins with the FISA court before back in 2002, where there were FBI abuses in getting the FISA warrants. Now, Robert Mueller, who's the former FBI director, who's the special counsel investigating Trump, was hauled before the nation's secret intelligence court to address a large number of instances in which the FBI cheated on sensitive surveillance warrants, according to evidence gathered by congressional investigators. For most of the past 16 years, Mueller's closed-door encounter escaped public notice because of the secrecy of the FISA court. But thanks to recent testimony from a former FBI lawyer, we now have a rare window into documented abuses of Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants and how the courts handled the matter. The sin that plagued the FBI 2 decades ago, and that now lingers over the Russia case, involves the omission of material facts by agents applying for FISA warrants in sensitive counterterrorism and counterintelligence cases. Such omissions are a serious matter at the FISC because it is the one court in America where the accused gets no representation or chance to defend himself. And that means the FBI is obligated to disclose evidence of both guilt and innocence about the target of FISA warrant. A declassified FISC order from 2002 gives a glimpse into how serious the omissions were. In one case, the FBI failed to tell the court that the person they were seeking a FISA warrant to surveil was, in fact, one of their own informants. The court expressed concern that misinformation found its way into FISA applications and remained uncorrected for more than 1 year, despite procedures to verify the accuracy of the FISA pleadings. We know from sources that the FBI had evidence suggesting that the innocence of 2 Trump campaign aides it targeted Page and George Papadopoulos, that wasn't provided to the court. So Mueller, he already knew about this. The FBI has been doing this for a very long time. It's been what? Almost 17 years they've been doing this? And we're first hearing about this now? Guess what? Mueller is fighting to save himself. He's involved in many different things. And I believe he went to Trump during the first period of time when Trump was coming into the presidency. It wasn't for an FBI job to be director, because he already had that position. He already served that position, and he couldn't ask for it again. I believe he was there to make a deal with Trump. I think Trump called him in there to say, listen, we know everything. We have everything. Either you work for us, or that's it for you. And I think Trump has, and the Patriots, they've done this to many, many players. Remember, once he became president, once the Patriots took control, they have all the emails, they have the servers, they have everything. They know exactly what they were doing. All they did was follow the trail. They have everything. And this is why Trump, during the State of the Union, told the deep state, listen, your plans that you have, they're done. They're not happening. We are in control. Now we see Venezuela, there is a lot going on there. And during the State of the Union, Trump did mention Venezuela. And he said because of the socialist problems there, people are suffering. But really the people are suffering because of the sanctions on the people, which the deep state placed on the people because they want a regime change. I know there's a lot of people saying that we're going to invade Venezuela. A lot of people said that about North Korea. A lot of people said that about Syria. This is not how Trump works. He's not going to start another endless war while he's ending the other endless wars. It doesn't make sense. Trump is pushing the agenda of the deep state. And I believe what they're doing is they're running 2 operations at the same time. They're making the neocons, the deep state, feel like he's moving forward with their plan to have regime change in Venezuela. Now, if the people decide to vote, and there are snap elections, and the people do vote for Juan Guaido, that's fine. The people decided to vote for this individual. If the snap elections show that Maduro is the winner again, then once again the people decided they want Maduro. But I believe in the background behind all of this, I believe what Trump is doing is he's exposing certain players. And they needed to do this to find out who's who. Yes, they do have everything, but you want to see how these people interact, how they smuggle weapons, what processes they are using, just like they are doing with the deep state with all these indictments. Remember, pain comes in many different forms. So I believe he's going to be bringing the pain, but we can see certain things are starting to happen. First of all, the EU is in disarray on their foreign policy. There are some countries that officially recognize Juan Guaido: France, Germany, and the UK. There are other countries like Belgium, Finland, Sweden. Well, they stopped short of recognizing Juan Guaido. So right now, the EU, they are not together. We also see that there were weapons that were discovered in Venezuela, and they were U.S.-made weapons, and they believe they came from Miami. In total, there were 19 rifles, 118 magazines, 90 radios, and 6 cell phones. Now, was this being brought in to maybe have a hit job or to create another Maidan in Venezuela, which they had in Ukraine? Because Because as we can see, there are certain players, the deep state players, that are pushing this very hard. Now, I believe there's another operation going on behind the scenes. And this is from Trump and the Patriots. Because as you can see from everything that Trump has done before, he's not going to start a war in Venezuela. Because what would that give him? That would give him a war with Russia, China, other nations. He's ending the wars in Afghanistan, Syria, the Middle Eastern countries. Yes, there are still players that are trying to stop him, and we'll be talking about that in just a minute. So I do believe there's two operations going on at the same time, and we're going to hear more of this information come out as time goes on. Now, if we go back to Q's post, 2675, where we have the jets flying in the air, does this mean that flying in the air? Does this mean that whatever they were planning, they have the targets, they're ready to fire, or whatever they were planning, they took the bait and it was successful? We don't know. And I'm pretty sure that soon we're going to start to find out what was going on, and I believe they're going to keep this dark for quite a while. We see that Trump is going to meet Kim Jong-un in Vietnam. They're preparing for a second summit. Trump is also saying that the Taliban talks are very constructive. We're looking to have peace in Afghanistan. And we can see that we're moving towards peace. We're moving from dark to light. And remember, there's many different pieces in this puzzle for this plan to move forward. And we're starting to see a lot of them come together. Now, I know the intelligence agencies were out there and they were saying that the Islamic State, they might make a comeback. They might, capture the land once again. This is not true whatsoever. Actually, the Islamic State, their percentages have dwindled to almost nothing. Their revenue, their oil have dwindled to almost nothing. Their oil revenue has dwindled to nothing. Most of the Islamic State and many of the terrorist organizations, I call them the paid mercenaries. This is what the intelligence organizations use. They use their paid mercenary forces to have regime change. Most of them are surrendering right now. Most of them realize that no one is supporting them anymore. The whole thing is completely lost. And we know that Qatar, Saudi Arabia, they were funding the operation, and other countries were funding the operation in Syria. They're stepping away right now. No more money is coming in to help the Islamic State or any terrorist organization in Syria. So the intelligence agency is saying that the Islamic State might snap back and they might take over Syria. Completely fake, phony, and false. Russia, Assad, they are in complete control. But you can see how nervous the neocons are, how nervous the deep state is. The Senate right now, they approved a bill that would support U.S. allies in the Middle East, and they're trying to stop Trump from withdrawing the troops in Syria and Afghanistan. These are the deep state operatives that are still left over. Remember, the deep state is wide and deep. Yes, the Patriots might be in control, but remember, there are still factions within our government around the world. They are still out there. They're still cleaning up. They're still tracking them down. They're on the hunt. So everything is not said and done as of yet. We're still seeing operations moving forward to rout these people out. And we can see that there are certain individuals in the Senate that are trying to stop Trump from withdrawing the troops from Syria, withdrawing the troops from Syria, withdrawing the troops from Afghanistan. Remember, war is big money. Drug running in Afghanistan is big money. This is where these individuals make their profits. So when you try to stop this, they fight back. The same thing with all the different countries we see: Ukraine, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Iraq, Venezuela. This was big business for them. And remember, in a lot of these countries, the deep state is still there. You need to find these players and get them out. I do believe that Putin, Xi Jinping, and the rest, they are all working to find out who the deep state players are and to stop whatever they're trying to do. And this is why Trump is having talks with Xi. This is why they're trying to level the playing field economically, level the playing field militarily. Think about the INF Treaty for a second. I know they're pointing the finger at Russia. I know they're blaming them because this is a perfect cover, saying they are the ones who went ahead and they started to build missiles, and they're the ones who violated the INF Treaty. I do believe that Trump needed to scrap the INF Treaty, and he did mention that maybe we'll create a new agreement with Russia, China, and other nations. I think the move forward is to bring other nations in and get rid of the deep state treaties that they created. Because remember, these treaties do not benefit the United States. And there need to be many other nations brought into these treaties, just like the trade deals did not benefit the United States. Remember, the deep state plan was not to help the United States. The deep state plan was to have the United States turn into a third world country and lose the war in this third world country and lose the war so they can get rid of the Constitution. This has been their plan for a very long time. All of this has to be reversed, and this is exactly what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now. The plan is moving forward, one piece at a time. And remember, each time they do this, the deep state, the central bankers, they do feel pain. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.